There's more to pumpkins than pies and jack-o'-lanterns coming up on the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener. And I'll show you some ideas of what we do here at the garden. There's many options to pumpkin besides making pie. Now some people make pie with strictly the pie pumpkins with a high sugar content. We make pumpkin pie with any size pumpkin, the jack-o'-lanterns included, except for the big boy here, and we'll get into that more in a minute. But the larger jack-o'-lantern pumpkins were bred for carving and decorative purposes, but the low sugar content, you can make pies out of it. I don't notice it, it's a personal preference. But other things we do with pumpkins here at the garden is we can it. Simply take it, and there's recipes online. You'll have to pressure can it due to the low acid content, and you can that in chunks, and it'll stay good on the shelf for about a year. We also make pumpkin soup, which is very tasty on a cold winter day. There's pumpkin in there, also in a cube form until we cook it. There's potato, leeks, onions, and some seasoning. You'll cook that down on the stove, and then puree it, eat it with crackers. It's quite tasty. Here at the garden, we make pumpkin juice with our juicer. Now this is pure juice, and there's many recipes online for adding apple juice, pineapple juice, other seasoning. I prefer pure. Holly does not. It's a preferred taste. And pumpkins, like the big boy here on your right, you can do another thing with them and make what we call pumpkin flour. A simple concept: you take the pumpkin and remove the skin and put the pumpkin in the dehydrator for 12 to 24 hours. And then you run it through your coffee grinder to get the powder form. Then you sift it, and it's a 1-to-3 ratio. So if you have a recipe calling for 4 cups of flour, you can use 1 cup of pumpkin flour and 3 cups of regular flour. It will turn your flour orange. Now with the seeds inside your pumpkins, don't throw them away either. You can you can roast them for a healthy snack, or you can also do the similar thing as we did with the pumpkin flour, is grind them up and have pumpkin seed flour, which is a very high nutrition flour, and it's healthy for you. And you can mix that into recipes as well. So just some of the few options you have when it comes to pumpkin besides just making a pumpkin pie.
There are many other options for using the pumpkins for. There's an obvious option like baking, there's a popular pumpkin pie, but there's even more fun options like pumpkin muffins, pumpkin bread, pumpkin cupcakes, even pumpkin pancakes. There's another fun option, which is pumpkin pie shakes. Those are really good, especially very popular at the fall time of the year. You can even use your pumpkin to make pumpkin coffee. There's many different options. You can find a lot of those recipes online. For any suggestions, we will post our email address at the end of the show. Please feel free to email us with any suggestions you may have on using pumpkins.
As the days get shorter and the temperatures drop, that's a sign that your gardening time is just about over. But as we do in the garden, we always plan for next year. So one of the fun things that you can do is overwinter a pepper plant. Now if you've never done this before, it's quite simple. All you really do is first remove the remaining fruit that's on the pepper plant. So we're just going to snip off the few remaining peppers, put them aside. Now, all you're doing is basically putting the pepper plant to sleep, like a tree goes dormant in the winter. Now that I've removed the fruit, you want to rinse the plant off. And all you're doing here is removing any bugs, extra dirt on the leaves, so you don't bring them into your house. So you want to just give that a good rinse. Okay, after that, what we're going to do is we're going to dig it up and put it in just a regular container. You'll put it in the basement next to a window or a fluorescent light, 55 to 60 degrees for the winter. And you want to water it about once a month. You want your soil to be slightly wet, but you don't want it to be moist. The plant will lose its leaves and the stalk will turn brown. At that point, you want to cut all your secondary limbs off, so all you have is your main stalk. After that, in the spring, when the weather starts getting warmer, you want to bring your pepper plant outside during the warmest part of the day, and you want to give it more water. Now, and it should put on green growth. Not all of these plants you do this to will survive the winter. And it's been known that the hotter the pepper plant is, the better chance it does surviving the winter. Now what we're doing here is the bell pepper variety. So what we're going to do, we're just going to dig it up and put it in the pot right now. Okay. So we got the pepper plant in the pot, so we're just going to take it down to the basement now and just let it go to its dormant stage. Over here we've got one that we started from seed in a pot already, and if you have that, it makes it much easier. You don't have the chance of damaging the root, and all we're going to do is let this one sit on the porch until the days get too cold or until the fruit ripens, and that one will also go down in the basement as well. We're also going to do a jalapeno and a cayenne pepper as well. So a fun activity you can do with your family. Again, don't be disappointed if in the spring these do not come back, because some won't. But it's a nice thing to try to get a jump start next spring in your garden. One of the simple ways to keep varmints and critters from eating your vegetables is simply put a fence around it. Here at the garden we found a simple, inexpensive, effective way of doing that with stuff people throw out every day. We find box fans and we take the grates off of them, cut them in half, place them in the ground around the vegetables that the critters seem to like the most. Critters won't venture in to try to eat the vegetables if they have to fight for the food when there's more food available easier. A simple way to reuse what somebody throws out on a daily basis. There's many different types of canning jars on the market, serving many different purposes. Here's a small selection of what we use here at the garden. You've got your traditional half-gallon jars here, smallmouth and wide mouth. They're recommended for only doing juices and pickles at this size, due to the fact that otherwise the processing heat will not cook the product all the way through. Then you have your traditional quart-sized jars, wide mouth and small mouth, and anything you would normally can, you can can in these, excluding jams and jellies, because that would be quite a lot of jam and jelly in a quart-sized jar. Over here you've got your pint-sized jars, wide mouth and small mouth. The wide mouth is actually can be a freezer jar as well. It's got a freezer line, or you can process it in a normal water bath or a pressure canner. And these can be, you can can anything with them, jams, jelly, peaches, beets, applesauce, pear honey, whatever you want will work well on those. Then you get over here, you've got a standard mason jar. It's a durable jar. It's a 22-ounce jar, and that's kind of an odd type jar that you don't normally purchase. You find a lot of these at yard sales, and you can again process anything you would want normally can that. You've got a large freezer-sized jar. This is a quart, a wide mouth. You can either put it in freezer, or you can water bath it, either one. Then you get down to your smaller half-pint jars. You've got your normal size mouth jar here, and this is excellent for jams and jellies exclusively, as well as your typical jelly jar. And then you can get into these odd-shaped jars that you find at yard sales. This got a pear or watermelon honey in it. It's a four-sided jar. Don't know who really made it. It's a very old jar, and that's where you typically will find a lot of your odd-shaped, old-style jars at yard sales. And there's a tall, slender jar that we've got some strawberry jam in, another unique jar that we have here at the garden. So just a small variety of the canning jars that you can use for whatever you're wanting to can, but you want to consult research in books or on the internet what is recommended for the size of jar that you're going to can in. Wow, it's full again. You know, a dehumidifier is a great tool to have in the house. Not only does it remove moisture from your air, but it also gives you gallons and gallons of free distilled water. Now, just don't pour that water down the drain. There's many uses for it. You can fill the buckets up and water your plants on the patio. You can fill your fish bowl up with it. Even top the water levels off in your car battery. Just some of the few things you can do with distilled dehumidifier water besides pouring it down the drain. Well, that's all the time we have. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Isn't it amazing all the things that you can do with a pumpkin besides putting it on your porch during the harvest season? Well, for all of us at the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener, I'm Joy Baird, reminding you to take a child gardening with you and let the memories begin to grow.